Okay, and we're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. Lots of news this week. We'll be trying to concentrate mainly on crypto, as there's a lot to talk about. And if we have a little bit of time, maybe we can have a look at some emerging markets as well in the real world. Okay, let me share my screen straight away with a very quick look. Very quick look at the market first. Let's have a look. Okay, so very quickly, what the main news, economic news this week. We have inflation figures both in Canada and the UK. That we're showing, as again, slowing down of the inflation, not as fast as expected, maybe in the not as fast as expected in Canada, but probably a little bit more than expected in the UK. And these obviously, as you know, these influence interest rate decisions. So as a result, for example, of the inflation figures in the UK, now the expectations are that the interest rates will be raised only by a quarter of a percentage point instead of half. But it's still, at the moment, we're still in at the end of the tightening cycle for interest rates in the UK. Now, in the US, we had some unemployment figures, so we still have kind of positive numbers, the unemployment, but the real economy continues to show signs of weakness. Okay, so retail sales figures, again weaker than expected, and also manufacturing figures. Still, as you can see down here, yesterday, still kind of way lower than expected and showing a contraction rather than expansion. And also existing home sales as well, kind of keep slowing down, showing a decline of the housing sector. And this week we had the first large commercial loan default. Okay, for a big building block in building, they call it a high-rise building in Atlanta. So we're starting to see now the first the first problems as home builders and big big developers are having to refinance their loans. Next week is going to be a lot more stuff going on. As you can see here, there's a lot more red news, and the main things will be on Wednesday. We have the interest rate decision in the US. As you can see, expected interest rates are expected to rise by a quarter of a percentage point in the US, and also we have the same in the Eurozone. The day after. So those are the two main news that are expected from next week. Plus the usual manufacturing data from these are kind of like surveys more than anything else. So although they are relevant, they're not that important in a sense, and they won't move the markets as much. We also have the monetary policy statement in Japan, although there is no expectation of move in the monetary policy, and some inflation figures here in the US on Friday, and this is the February figure for the monetary committee. So this is what mainly they're relying on to make interest rate decisions again. So this comes after the interest rates have been announced on Wednesday, but it kind of like it will influence the future decisions. Now, where is it? This is just to show you. This is the probabilities of interest rates being at different level for the next up to the end of 2024. As you can see now, at the moment, this is where we are in this column here, 500 to 525 basis points, so 5 to 5.25%. And we have almost like, I mean, this is what the market expects. Okay, so 99.8 probability of interest rates being raised next week. And then this is, the blue are the kind of like the column with the highest probability. And so interest rates are kind of like expected to stay then at that level until January 2024. And then the probability starts shifting towards a cut in interest rates. So this is the expectation of the markets. Interest rates to be raised next week, staying at that level, pretty much then hitting a plateau until beginning of next year, and then start to being cut. So this is the expectation of the first cut, in March of next year, and then again in May, another one, and then July, September, and November. Okay, so we expected now by the end of next year to have, to start easing considerably by about 1 percentage point. Okay, about 1%. Now, having a look at what happened roughly in crypto this week. I mean, you can have a look at the price of Bitcoin. This is the green boxes where we were last week. Okay, so so this is like exactly this time last week. I said we've been in this range now for a little while, and we haven't really moved away from this range. So we moved basically just from, as you can see, from the top to the bottom of this range, but we're still range bound. So nothing much. If I say what happened this week in the crypto prices, crypto markets, the answer is not much. Okay, and this is the gray range is the one that's coming from May, June of last year. Okay, so we're still fighting pretty much in that. Oops, what happened? Sorry. So what I was saying, we're still fighting in the, I'll say, mid-range between 27 and 32. Until we move away from this range, the market will stay, will stay put. Generally speaking, to kind of break a range like this, there is a need of some news coming in. At the moment, prices are kept kind of contained because of the prospect of large sales connected to both the US government selling some Bitcoins as a result of Bitcoins that have been seized for because of criminal activity, and also we have the Mt. Gox Bitcoin that will hit the market at some point. So probably we have between 4 and 5% of Bitcoin supply that will hit the markets in the next few months. So it's there's a lot, the big, let's say the big players are a little bit edgy about going all in buying Bitcoin, although long term we all know that there is only really one way to go. But in the short term, we could see more volatility and maybe some or how can I say, if the especially the SEC wants to achieve a particular narrative, they could use the coins they are under their control to push the narrative in their way. Okay, so I'll just say pay attention. It is a good time now to start re-engaging with the crypto market, because there is a lot of interest, and things are started moving after the SEC case against Ripple at the partial decision. So is as good a time as any to start doing dollar cost averaging. Okay, if you want to get back in the crypto market, but don't go jumping in, feet first, but just be careful and I just say there's no need at the moment to go and look for moonshots. Okay, so just keep to the safer assets. Okay, now let's move on to. So this is one of the reasons why also things are a little bit edgy at the moment. Okay, so the government just sold another 8,200 Bitcoin because of the Bitcoin they seized as a with the Silk Road collapse, and so they started to then selling these on the markets. So so obviously all Bitcoins, wherever they come from, obviously go to the same place, in the same market, the same marketplace. So it will affect prices when you have hundreds of millions of worth of Bitcoin hitting the market at at any one time. Now, before we go on to other things, one thing I need to remind you is to be careful, because scams. Sorry, just have I started? Sorry, I just had a panic. I don't know if I have started. Yeah, no, that's fine. The usual thing. Okay, scams being everywhere on social media. This is in particular on Twitter. So this is the founder of Uniswap. They had this Twitter account hacked. Okay, and what do they do with it? They they put something that's quite that takes your attention, captures your attention, and entices you to click on a link like here. So this is the tweet, for example. Okay, so this is his account that was hacked, and they're saying the Uniswap contract has been attacked by by an unknown exploit. Your tokens are at risk, revoke now. So if kind of like encourages to click on this link, which is a scam link. So just remember, however the scammers can, unless they actually attack your computer directly, all the time you would end up, getting in trouble because you clicked on stuff that you shouldn't have clicked on. So just remember, don't click on stuff. If you see something that could be true, and you have a kind of like a Uniswap account or whatever, just connect to it as you normally would. If it is connected to your crypto exchange, don't click on the link. Just connect on it as you normally do. Okay. So without, because this these are very good, and normally it takes you the websites they take you to, they look very realistic. So it will be very difficult once you clicked on the link to realize that you are in the middle of a scam. So be careful. Okay, let me just close a couple of these things. Now, one of the most important news that have actually come to my attention for a while is this. And it might not look obviously that important in the great scheme of things, but it is important for what crypto means and what it stands for. Okay, so this is the Myanmar shadow government. Okay, now the actual government is controlled by another entity. So the banking system in Myanmar is also controlled by another entity. So how do you then give, your citizens that at the moment are very highly controlled and repressed, access to a financial system? And this is that for the first time we had a bank that is completely existing only in the crypto space. So they launched this. They're launching it tomorrow, July the 22nd. It's called the Spring Development Bank, and it's a bank completely built on Polygon, and which will give access not just to people living in Myanmar, but also all the expats. So we have 55 million in Burma, and another I think 2 or 3 million outside of it. So not just to transfer money in and out, but giving people access to to banking services. Now, as I say, the way this was built, because it's say they can move funds into a banking system controlled by the military. So they had to create an alternative financial system, and also sending money at the moment from outside into the country by traditional means can cost as high as 30% of what you're sending. Okay, so the way they have they have built it also because people are being punished even for having the wrong app on their phone. This is completely web-based, so you can access it through a web browser, and also people are encouraged to use it through the incognito window. So they search history also is not shown on their phone. So what they have done, they have they are creating different types of stable coins that people can then exchange on this hub swap between US dollars, the Thai baht, the Singapore dollar, and the Myanmar kyat. So then they have access to a completely uncontrollable in a way banking system that cannot be stopped by anybody else. And this is what the decentralized world, the cryptocurrency world, is standing for, because what options would at the moment the people that are living in Myanmar have in just using traditional channels? Apart from using cash, they really don't have any other option that is not under control of the military junta. So this is what crypto does and stands for. It's not so much to make us a quick buck, but is really to provide freedom, and especially obviously this is more felt in countries where there is the least amount of freedom. Either for military reasons like here, or for economic reasons like in South America, like in El Salvador, Venezuela, Argentina. All these countries have economic reasons for using cryptocurrencies. In this case, there's a political reason to use it. But this is the reason why Bitcoin was invented, was even thought of in the first place. And as you can see, this is not a little thing. Okay, this is a big thing, because this is how cryptocurrencies can then be used in the real world, and what kind of rights they can give to the users that are not available to them anywhere else. So I told you many times, for me, cryptocurrencies will grow really in the real world, not in the UK, the USA, in kind of like rich countries, but will come from places like this, from places like El Salvador, the Central African Republic, Myanmar, and places like this, where these services are not just a nice thing to have, but they're an essential thing to have. Okay, so that's why I am bringing them to your attention, even if talking about in terms of volume, this would be a tiny amount, but in terms of precedent or what can be achieved on the blockchain, this is huge. On other news, this is kind of like quite interesting. This is the commissioner of the Commodity and Futures Trade Commission. Okay, so it is expected that following the the ruling in the RIFO against the SEC case. So this is the commissioner that thinks that kind of like is paving the way for having more clarity in regarding cryptocurrencies, and possibly there is also a where is it? Let me see. And there's also a bill that was introduced, a crypto bill that was introduced in Congress by the Republicans. That if passed will make a big difference in the way the cryptocurrencies are overseen, and that would pass the oversight role from the SEC to the Commodity and Futures Trading Commission. Okay, and that will be very, very meaningful, because it paves the way to cryptocurrencies being considered the same level as commodities, okay, instead of securities, okay, and would already say a lot in the way that the regulators look at this market, and it would make it a lot more easy to deal with as well, instead of being kind of ostracized as it is at the moment, making you feel like a criminal simply because you want to own and use cryptocurrencies. As I was saying before, I think in week before, I mean, this is now getting really seriously in the political arena. So this is the Robert Kennedy Jr. is now proposing a plan to eliminate capital gains tax on Bitcoin conversion to US dollars, and also suggested backing the US dollar with assets including gold, silver, platinum, and Bitcoin. So, this is obviously, there are contrasting views. It doesn't mean that this is what is going to happen, but the fact that there's an important figure that is showing, talking about cryptocurrencies openly in an adult way, I think it's really important. Okay, and then we'll see, the results of the elections, will tell if his stance is something that is supported by the voters or not. But the fact that he obviously, as nothing is done in the US without polling it to death, So if he's talking like this, obviously he knows that his electorate is crypto friendly, and this kind of news are likely to hit where he intends to hit. On a different thing, in France, as you can see, a completely different approach from the US, where in the US the banking system is almost like defending themselves and just like banning crypto wherever they can. Now in France, instead, Société Générale, one of the largest banks in the world, and now become the first company to secure a license for cryptocurrency services. Okay, so that means crypto custody, trading, and selling. Okay, and this comes between a lot of interest surge in crypto market activity in France, in 2023. There's some more here about Robert Kennedy Jr. You can feel free to to find it and read it. But he thinks that by doing this, it also will facilitate innovations, their investment, and also ensure citizens' privacy. I mean, this is obvious, but the fight that's going on at the moment is completely against that. But so he's putting himself really as a pro-Bitcoin presidential candidate. Okay, so as president, I will make sure that your right to use and hold Bitcoin is inviolable. So it's interesting. Let's read the tweet in full. It's not about totalitarianism and the manipulation of a money supply. It points the way towards a future in which government institutions are more transparent and more democratic. I mean, this is, in a few words, is very well put, I think. So, and again, this is not just important because, okay, will it be successful or not? The fact that this is being reported and is being talked about, so it's important from that point of view as well. So the more people are becoming used to listening to cryptocurrencies being talked about, okay, and instead of being considered like the Wild West, they're becoming a household item that everybody is at least starting to understand, and becomes at least becomes more part of the everyday discussions. Now, one thing that's interesting also to have a look at, and I will encourage you to have a look at this, is the there's a CoinGecko report, like they do one every quarter. Okay, so this article is a brief highlight of the report. The report you can read in full, is about like 50 pages of data, some a little bit on the heavy side, but this gives you a highlight, and you can grab them. If you link on CoinGecko, go on CoinGecko and you log in, it will appear here at the top of your screen and say just read the Q2 crypto industry report. So these are some of the highlights. Bitcoin saw some volatility. It kind of like it gained a little during the quarter, nothing to shout home about. Stable coins keep going down. The interesting thing here is this slide number 3 and 4. Like Ethereum, even after the withdrawal were enabled on a staking protocol now, actually seen an increase in staking on the Ethereum network, and this is good for the stability of the network. And also it shows that the behavior towards Ethereum is actually mirroring what we see for Bitcoin. So people buy and keep it for the long term instead of using it in a just for speculation. So it's important, whether you have Ethereum or not. It is important because Bitcoin and Ethereum are the largest networks at the moment in cryptocurrency. So what happens in Ethereum and Bitcoin paves the way for all the other cryptocurrency after that. Now the other one is the NFT volume. So it keeps dropping. Although there's been quite a lot of interest in the Bitcoin NFTs, called the ordinals, but the NFT volume has actually dropped off a cliff recently. And the last two kind of highlights is the trading volume. Now, has fallen a lot, especially with the Binance and Coinbase lawsuits. Is followed by 40. Sorry, it fell by about 43%, but also the one on decentralized exchanges fell by about a third, because obviously there's been, with fear in the market, people are more reticent in actually starting to trade in cryptocurrencies. But funny enough, the percentage of people trading for speculative reasons on both centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges has remained pretty much the same. Now let's have a look. Okay. So this is, for example, it shows you the the volume, how it's less than half of what it was in February, and apart from the drop in volume, also we see the kind of like chains that were where a lot of the volume is appearing. So Solana is also dropped considerably. This is the volume of NFTs. Okay, it dropped considerably because some of the more popular NFT collections actually moved from Solana onto other chains. So that's the reason. And the yellow one is actually now starting to see some make some inroads. Is Bitcoin, Bitcoin ordinals. So the main chains for NFTs remain Ethereum, of course, and all the other ones probably, if you kind of discount Bitcoin, the other one, the largest one, is Immutable X. Okay, so those are the main chains for NFTs, if you are interested. This shows you the centralized crypto exchanges, and you can see Binance, although it's still the largest exchange, centralized exchange by far, the dominance has gone from 63% to 52% right now. And some of the other ones, so the extra 10%, 11% that they dropped is actually pretty much spread out throughout the other exchanges, as you can see listed down here. So the Upbit, OKX, Coinbase, Bybit, KuCoin, BitGet, Mexi, Gate, and Kraken. Kraken actually of the kind of the more traditional names has doubled the trading volume compared to January. So they've gone from 2% to 4% as a share of the marketplace. So that is interesting. And these are some of the decentralized instead markets. Again, Uniswap is by far, again, the largest, and if anything, it has actually grown a little bit since January, from 60 to 665. And then we have Curve, PancakeSwap, Dodo, and some smaller ones. QuickSwap, which is the Polygon one, and so on. Okay. So this is the actual report, which you can again access it at the end of the article. There's one part as well that I wanted to concentrate on. Kind of like this is quite new, talking about DeFi. Okay. Now, although DeFi has seen kind of like an increase during these past few months, it's as a percentage of the total crypto market is actually remained the same, because yes, it has increased, but at the same time the prices of crypto have increased. So it hasn't increased in terms of market share. Here, what I wanted to this is kind of like a new category that is being created by the latest innovation. This is the liquid staking DeFi category. Okay, so these are tokens that you receive when you stake on protocols like Lido, for example, where you do stake your tokens collectively, but you receive in exchange for the tokens that you staked stake tokens. So, for example, if you staked Ethereum, you will receive staked Ethereum tokens in exchange. And now, those tokens, although you continue accumulating the staking rewards on Ethereum, at the same time, you can use your liquid tokens in DeFi protocols. So you can see there are different ways you can use these liquid staking tokens. Either as to get additional yield, or you can use to borrow against them. So that's interesting because you at the same time you're receiving yield for your tokens, but you can also borrow against them. And if the amount you borrow is quite low as a loan to as a ratio, loan to value ratio, there are some protocols where you don't pay any interest either. So you can use some of the cash in a way that you generate and pay back the loan through the yield that you receive through staking. So it's quite interesting, kind of almost like money for nothing. And because it is a loan, you don't even have to pay any tax on it. So it's kind of like interesting. I mean, I don't know if makes you want to explore it a little bit more. So but it is a little bit on the more complicated parts of things that you do with your cryptocurrencies. But it's just go and find this report, and if you're interested, just go and explore some of these protocols that are mentioned here. Okay, one thing that we talked about in the past is bridges, and how obviously they're important to move assets in a decentralized world if you're not using central exchanges. And these are kind of like the main bridges. We talked about last week as the multi-chain bridge was hacked. Okay, and there was some loss on funds, so at the moment they stopped. And it was one of the largest ones. So you can see the change quarter on quarter, 10% down. But obviously some tokens, some bridges have picked up the slack. So in particular, you can see the wormhole BTC is one of the one there. They've got a lot more, and sorry, the wormholes portal. Also because there is a chance, there is a chance that you could receive a airdrop, and also because the SUI mainnet was launched in May, and portal became the official bridge. Okay, but at the same time, this is probably the riskiest part of dealing in or moving funds between blockchain is bridging. So it's the part that, for example, Cosmos and Polkadot are it's the main goal of their network is to make transition between blockchains easier. And by the time they are completely developed, this process will become a lot easier and safer, more than anything else. Okay, so let's move away from this. I mean, you could say we could spend. I mean, if we looked at this in detail, we could spend a lot of time on it, but we don't have this much time to look at everything. So, but I encourage you to read these reports. There's a report now by this, and there's also a report that just came out from Binance on the first 6 months of 2023. So if you want to understand roughly what's going on, at least to have a basic understanding of what's going on in the crypto market, just please have a look. And if you don't understand certain slides, just move on. You don't need to spend hours on it. I mean, just about 15-20 minutes, maybe half an hour, just looking through this would move you forward, at least in your understanding of the market. Okay, so let me just. Are there any questions so far? Because I've moved quite quickly today. So. Okay, say Kennedy.
Oh yes, I did have a question. Was Luca, the Ethereum? What's the staking returns on Ethereum now?
They're about 5%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if I want to get access to, say, the correct address for, say, SwiftX, is CoinGecko the best to source for that, or which other one would you suggest?
Sorry, the correct address for what?
Like an exchange like SwiftX.
SwiftX. I mean, why SwiftX? Sorry, in particular.
Well,
Yes, you can.
Deals with Australian banks.
SwiftX. I'm not familiar with it. But yes, on CoinGecko, you do on CoinMarketCap as well. You normally have a list of exchanges as well. But is that I assume that's a centralized exchange, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if it's a centralized exchange, I mean that's you don't access it in a decentralized way. So why would you need the address? So you would just need to open an account with them, like you do with Binance or Kraken or any other centralized exchange.
Yeah, it's just I've got an account with them, and it's suggesting that they on the link that I opened, that there's another address that is the correct address, as if they've changed their address. And so
I'm not familiar with it, but I'm saying again, they are a centralized exchange, so you don't really go and look for it in places like that. On places like CoinGecko, you use them mainly to access the decentralized exchanges. So if you want to address a cryptocurrency address and link, that's where you get them from. For centralized exchanges, I mean, you can search it. And nothing comes up for SwiftX.
SWY FTX.
FTX. There's nothing I can find on CoinGecko. So I don't know.
So how have you spelled it?
Sorry, you just go to CoinGecko and search. Or you go on CoinMarketCap. I don't know. I never heard of SwiftX, but so if you, unless they have a different symbol, I don't know. But
yes, SWYFTX.
With the Y, sorry.
Yeah.
I just put it in the chat, Luca.
Yeah, that's a link. That's a website link.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I want to know. The correct one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where you will get the correct one. I mean, if you just search it on Google, but I don't know if to get a. Let me see. Just finding out as we're going along. So on CoinGecko, there's nothing on SwiftX. So I don't know. I mean, you find it on Google like you find anything else, but not particularly on CoinGecko.
Yeah, no worries.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Now, yeah, regarding it's not that I'm endorsing.
Clinton.
Sorry. Regarding the Robert Kennedy, yes, I know that he's not one of the main politicians on the race, but the fact that he is talking about it means that these things are being reported. This is all I'm saying. So where 2 years ago, you would have to dig very deep to find anything related to cryptocurrency in the news, and now you get politicians openly talking about it and being reported. So that's the difference between where we were in beginning of 2021, and when we are now, and it just kind of happened so quickly. This is why I wanted to bring it to your attention. Okay, before we move on to other things, if we do, are there any questions related to what we were just talked about? No? Okay, so let me share something else with you then. A little bit talking about the real economy in this case. There's a couple of things I wanted to to show you. Let me just move stuff around. So that's relating principally to emerging markets. Okay, and we're kind of like almost like in we're hitting a sweet spot now, as we did in 2007. Okay, those are the kind of things that happened in 2007 between March and September. As you can see, some markets, so we're looking at Korea, Poland, India, Brazil, and Hong Kong, were shown a very high returns and kind of the best results, in terms of risk-adjusted ratio as well, very high return. And even not just the shares on this market, but even the currencies, as you can see, the currency in respect to the US dollar as well, because the economies were growing, their report with the US dollar as well improved. So obviously the US dollar is in this case the first part of the pair. So the minus figure will mean that the currency on the second part are actually going up instead of down. Okay, so it's particularly, you can see here the Brazilian real and the Indian rupee as well, that with double-digit figures within a 6 months radius. Now, there are two things in emerging markets that can encourage, let's say, the economy of the emerging markets. One scenario is the disinflationary scenario. So we get below average, below trend growth in the USA. That makes then the Fed decision more predictable. Okay, and markets like predictability, I can say. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is strong global demand and trade growth. And we've seen a lot of the first part, kind of like disinflationary attention. There isn't a lot of strong global demand, but even one of these scenarios playing out will make the emerging markets stronger. Now, if we see here, go to current figures. So if we see the 200-day moving average, so kind of like the trend, so to speak, we can see directly, which ones are kind of happier in these economic conditions. You can see Poland, Brazil, Mexico, Korea, and Taiwan. Those are the strongest growing economy compared to the US economy. And some places as well, they got a risk premium, very positive risk premium, like Poland, although we had eye-watering growth this year already of 30%, but still good prospects going forward. So I would say probably the stronger at the moment are Poland and Brazil in terms of future prospects, because on top of just numbers that we're looking at is political stability. Okay, and on average, the Brazil economy and the Brazil currency has appreciated very nicely with the Lula presidency. Okay, so and obviously Poland as well, being part of the EU and showing very good figures in terms of repatriation, so attracting repatriation of people that were working, living and working abroad, and at the same time attracting a lot of new workers, especially from people that have fled Ukraine. They're now being integrated into the Polish economy, and you can see the effects. You can see the effects of it. Where we live here in the UK, where there is such a bad narrative about immigration. It shows you instead, this is what the real figures, that the countries that attract the immigration are the ones that are flourishing. Because productivity depends, comes one of the two immediate ways of improving your productivity is by having more, a larger labor force. So with population getting older, unless you attract new blood from outside, you get very little chance of doing that. So this instead is the growth story in Brazil. Okay, you look at this, for example, is the result of, basically shows how the Brazilian currency has appreciated against the US dollar during the last Lula presidency. So at an average of 26% per year. Okay, and also the terms of trade, so the conditions of trading have also improved. You can see, and so by this condition improving, they're getting more from the activity of trading with other countries, and that also supports then a stronger currency. This, for example, is another graph that shows you the difference of the growth of GDP per head of population, and look at the difference between 2016 and where we are now, where at the bottom of this is the United Kingdom, where the GDP per capita has actually gone down in the last, so talk about productivity, producing less now per worker than we were 7 years ago. And look at the difference in Poland, where this productivity per worker is actually soared by more than 20%. Okay, and you can see the countries that we were seeing before, like obviously the United States is doing well compared to Europe and Australia, but not compared to South Korea, India, and Poland. Now, one also economy that we have to follow very closely because it's very large is China. And although China is, as you can see, this is the two graphs shows you the the percentage of private sector borrowing in China and Japan. So this, if you can see, so let's kind of step back for a second. Okay, there is a investments and growth. It just, you know, the GDP just shows you numbers. Okay, it shows you how much money has been spent, okay, over a certain period of time. It doesn't tell you how this money is being spent. And in China, all that, you know, a big chunk of this money has gone into the real estate and infrastructure projects, to the point where, you know, so that they could show and kind of like an increasing GDP and showing that they are doing things, improving conditions of living. Some of these projects are meaningless, but they were done almost like, you know, dig a hole and fill it up, or build a bridge in the middle of nowhere, because yes, you can see that we have built a bridge and we've done something that is worth some money. But if you look at here, look at the this move here. Look how similar it is to what Japan experienced between 1982 and 1992, roughly. So this is basically shows you the real estate bubble, and how difficult then, once prices for private investments start showing a negative return, it is very difficult then to convince the private sector to start borrowing more, to invest more, because obviously you only invest if you can see a positive outcome out of it. And so this has been the result. This has been what's happened to the Japanese economy. Then, it's taken almost like 30 years, and we're still haven't recovered completely. We're still in a disinflation bubble. So where the price of some of the real estate in Japan are gone to absolutely unrealistic levels, and it's taken, more than 20 years for prices to kind of go back to normal. And the same things show signs of happening in China. So we could going forward, we could see what is called a balance sheet recession in China, the same as we have seen in Japan. Okay, so this is where the numbers in China, although sometimes we see growth in terms of positive numerical figures, are not then reflected in the trading activity, or what actually goes on outside of the country and they're trading with other countries. So China as an investable market is not at the top of the list at all at the moment, because apart from this kind of balance sheet disinflation, on the other side we also have the political uncertainty of a country that cannot be trusted. So this is the thing at the moment of looking at other ways, because of the dollar is getting weaker, and so sometimes some of the other major currencies, one of the ways is trying to see who's making waves in the world, and there are countries that are improving, they are doing the right things and taking the right steps, so they offer the best opportunity to to share in their growth, so to speak. Okay, let me stop sharing. We got like 5 minutes left. So Clinton say BRICS. Yes, well, there has been a lot of talk about just creating this new currency to rival the US dollar. But for me, it's this is the problem. Is not the US dollar. Yeah, it is in a way, but the problem it's the global payment system. And so if you just first of all, to create a currency that would take the place of US dollars is not an easy task, even with the the BRICS countries backing. It's at the moment there's nothing at all that would go anywhere near being able to do what the US dollar is doing. But it would just be replacing the problem with another problem. So it could be, if that was to happen, it would be a very, very short-term solution for me in the long scheme of things. So we'll see. I mean, unless we have a solid system that replaces this one, the current problems will just carry on. We already, how I see, we're already towards the edge of this fiat system. It's the longest we had any fiat systems last in history, and it's starting to show the cracks. So for me, nothing, no fiat system can replace the current US dollar based system. It's just a solid. You need to have some solid backing. We can discuss if this solid backing would be, gold or cryptocurrencies or anything else, but I don't think we can carry on for the long term just using the system we have. The US dollar is coming to an end, but there's nothing. Let's say there's looking to take its place right now. Okay, any other questions? Anybody else? Come on, guys, don't be shy. No? Chad, yes, very true, very true. So we had with the eminent Chad. Chad is, for those of you that haven't met him, Chad is the one of the founders of Cashbox. Had a very nice structured note last year based on Bitcoin crypto miners, Riot and Marathon, and we're coming to an observation point next week that should release about a 42.5% payout, which is very pleasant indeed in 15 months. And so long may continue, Chad. So let's hopefully we can be in a sweet spot where they don't naturally give us the money back, but it carries on for another while longer, because 34% a year is nice. It's nice. Okay. So, and guys, by the way, this sort of returns are possible, are available. They're not out of this world. It just getting educated. This is what we do in the in AAW. And if any of you that are not already part of it are interested, then just let me know. I'll just put my email address here if you want to have a chat with me. I'm not a salesman, so I'm not. I don't put any pressure generally. But if you're interested, send me a message and we can have a chat. I can answer some of your questions, and the ones I can't answer, I'll send you to Mark, and he can give you the high and low about everything. Okay. Any other questions here? Are you all happy and satisfied for another week? Oh, some housekeeping. I will not be here next week as I'm away for a few days. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. I'll have to remember to tell Tyrell also to change it in the emails they are sent out. So I wish you all a nice end of July and beginning of August, and I'll see you back here in 2 weeks. At the moment, I'll leave you with the eminent Jonathan that for his Cardano Bay session that starts at 9:30. So there's the link there in the chat box. If you haven't been to one before, I would encourage you to do it, because there's lots of things going on in Cardano, and although now it's just one of the main top 10 chains, this will change very quickly in the next couple of years as the development grows on the chain, and it will become more and more mainstream. So learn about it now, so when you can take advantage before it's too late. All right, so guys, have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.